Hello and welcome to the Mixtape Podcast. I am your host, Mark, and every week we'll take a deep dive into my guests' inspirations and influences by asking them to make up an imaginary 6-track mixtape. There are over 120 archive episodes. The mixtapepodcast.com is your one-stop shop for all of those episodes, my YouTube channel, and it'd be great to catch up with you on social media as well. Don't forget, if you enjoy this episode, to give us a like, a share, or a follow wherever you listen to your podcasts. And I hope you enjoy this week's episode.
Hello and welcome to this week's Mixtape show, and today joining me on the show, it is an absolute pleasure to welcome Lloyd Cole. How are you, Lloyd?
I'm not too bad, thanks very much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure, mate. My pleasure. So we're here to talk about your solo Australia tour in March, kicking off 17th March in Melbourne. Finishing up on the 29th in Hobart. The significant date for Perth people is Friday the 27th of March. You're playing the Astor Theatre in Perth. It is destroyalllions.com for tickets and info for that one. Just reading the promo notes for the tour, Lloyd, first of all, it talks about how it's electric and not an acoustic tour. What was it that sort of made you hang up the acoustic and plug the Telecaster in, mate?
There's a couple of things. But I think most important is I just didn't really pay attention to how long I'd been playing the acoustic guitar for my live show. And it was never my intention to be perceived as a folk singer. And so I just thought, I'm getting toward the end of my career, certainly closer than the beginning. And I just thought, there's something too loaded about the acoustic guitar. It says folk singer, it says protest singer. So I just decided I would try and do something different. And I think the electric guitar for me just says singer songwriter as opposed to folk singer. So it's another challenge. I mean, I was just playing in France 10 days ago. I was just standing up there thinking, pretty bloody good at this acoustic thing right now. Why am I changing this? But yeah, and there's also there's quite a lot of work that I've been turning down for 20 years playing festivals and things because the acoustic guitar on a festival stage just doesn't work. So I've told my agent, I'm going to work out this electric thing. Get me some bloody work.
Talking of the work, you've already added an extra show in Sydney, but I'm looking at the sort of spacing of your tour dates and stuff. You've allowed yourself some days off here and there. So when you tour like somewhere like Australia, like what does your downtime look like? Are you sort of all about recharging, or do you like to make the most of being in Australia and getting out and about and seeing the sights?
There isn't enough time to be really getting out and about. Almost every day that it looks like I'm not working, I'm flying from one place to the next. Yeah, the one day off in Sydney's been taken because a second show is added. The day off before Melbourne's gone because they're adding a third Sydney show that's going to be announced sometime soon.
Okay.
I'm going to be flying from Auckland into Sydney directly. So I'll have time to get into town and maybe get a nice dinner somewhere. But, as soon as the next day starts, as soon as it's lunchtime, that's sort of the start of the show day. I've got to eat at a certain time. I've got to prepare. I've got to be ready to sound check at a certain time so that I've got some time back at the hotel to get a bit of downtime before the show. I'm old, I need a nap in between the sound check and the show. It's quite a long show, it's 30 songs or something like that. And it is quite exhausting.
Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. I think I saw something on social media the other day. So if you see someone over 50 out after 9 o'clock at night, they've definitely had a nap. At some point, I don't know.
Oh, I'm quite hurt.
Yeah, it is. So I know that's certainly true for me. With a back catalogue like yours, Lloyd, I think it's impossible to please everyone. But there's the fact that it's an entirely acoustic show. Did that affect some of the songs, your set list choices, when you were putting the set list together? Did that have any effect on that at all?
Yeah, of course. There are some songs that you felt absolutely needed drums and a band. But the longer it went on, the more I found that I could play almost any of them if I wanted to. And the kicker was really when I was stuck in the house doing acoustic concerts in front of my phone for COVID, I found out I could even play Speedboat from Rattlesnakes, which I think was top of the list of the songs I thought I couldn't possibly play on my own. And now it's sort of a staple of the set the last year or so because it's new and exciting, having not played it for 40 years. So, and there'll be certain songs that won't work on electric in the way that they would have worked so well on acoustic. I mean, for example, Are You Ready to Be Heartbroken will work, it'll be fine, but it'll be a bit more of a challenge than playing it on acoustic because that's the way you're used to hearing it. On the other hand, 2CV, I've been playing it on acoustic all these years, but my part on the record's actually electric. So I'm hoping it's going to, I'm hoping that not too many doors close that aren't matched at least by as many or more opening.
And talking about sort of playing to your audience, like we're talking about set lists and stuff, I know that overwhelmingly my audience demographic is like 40-year-old men and older. So I try and play to them when I ask questions. So they're also either guitar nerds and or vinyl enthusiasts. So the next couple of questions are sort of directed in that sort of area. So with the Telecaster that you mentioned in the promo sort of blurb, is that like any kind of sort of special edition, or has it got any special significance to you, or is it just an off the shelf sort of bog standard telly?
I'm still working on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I'm still working on it. I need to travel with two in case it happens to the other. I need to have two on stage in case I break a string or whatever. I've got a beautiful Telecaster from 1966 that I've been using since 1989. It was in Glasgow when I got home and I decided to start playing around with the various guitars. It took me about 3 or 4 weeks to just decide Telecaster, trying all the various guitars that I own. And the main reason for the Telecaster is it's got a lovely warm low end, and it also fits my body for playing in a similar way to the acoustic. I just feel like I can play it better than I play a Stratocaster or a different shaped guitar. Those guitars I'll be fine if I'm sitting down, it's on my lap, but when I have to stand up, so it's the shape of it. So my son had this guitar, well, he still owns it, that was in the basement, a Telecaster from about 10 years ago, a particular model. For the nerds, it's called a road-worn Vintera, 1950s style, and it looks like a 50s telly, but it's got that kind of fatiguing to make it look like it's older than it really is, which normally I would hate. But that particular guitar, he bought it in Glasgow, and I remember him saying, Jimmy, the guy that sold it to him, said, "This is a really good one." And apparently Earl Slick was trying to buy it the same week or something. And William got it, and then he put this Keith Richard brass bridge on it, and it just sounds fantastic. And I got my telly back from Glasgow, and I A-B'd it, and I was like, my telly's great with a band, but William's one sounds better for solo because it's got a bigger sound. So so obviously they don't make that one anymore. So I had to go on Reverb. I found one in Japan, so I bought that one, and then the only other one I could find was in a horrible blue color that I didn't like, but I bought it anyway. And then I bought another white body, and I had the luthier take all of the bits out of the blue one and put it on the white body. So right now I've got two white, one blonde tellies that are we're going to start testing pickups in the next month.
Right. Fingers crossed the airline looks after them for you, mate, and they don't cause you any grief.
I've got great Telecaster cases that I bought when I had this band, the Negatives. I think this will probably be the one time I'm traveling that I'm not really worried about the guitar, because you can throw a Telecaster and it's still going to be okay. And these cases are great. So yeah, it's going to be a Telecaster. It's going to be this Vintera, and I'm just working on bridges and pickups to make sure it's as good as it can possibly be.
Fantastic. All right, now this next question. I was talking to my friend Peter last night about this, and I said, I don't know if I'm going to ask you this. It's a bit of a silly question. It's a bit of a throwaway question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So on the vinyl discussion groups, one of the sort of, whenever the discussion comes up, it always blows up massively with a load of comments and a lot of people getting involved. And that is the cataloguing of your collection alphabetically. And your name comes up in that discussion a lot. Because for people like me who catalogue alphabetically by solo artist, surname, or band name. So Lloyd Cole comes under C. Lloyd Cole and the Commotions comes under L, because that's a band. And that's always there's always the two camps of people who are like, no. So I'm going to ask you, Lloyd, like, how would you do it, and how would you catalogue? Are you happy to put Lloyd Cole and the Commotions and Lloyd Cole together, or would you want to separate them?
I'd put them together. I would start with the first one, and then after the last Commotions one, I'd put my first one after that. I have to say, I don't keep my own records in the same rack as I keep everybody else's records, so I don't have that cataloging issue that you've got. Mine are all just together in a corner of that room.
Right, okay, excellent. I just thought, I was talking to Pete, I was like, I'm going to ask him, I've got to ask him, because he's one of those artists who could go in either. So yeah, so that was my follow-up, was like, are you a big vinyl collector? But obviously you haven't got a massive collection, but do you prefer vinyl, obviously, over the streaming and the digital platforms?
No, I'm not. And in my old age, I get quite grumpy about it, to be honest, because you can't get less green than vinyl when it comes to how incredibly difficult it is to ship it around the world to make sure it gets from A to B without being damaged.
Tell me that. I live in Australia, mate, and I'm a vinyl collector.
I stopped selling it in my shop because every third record we shipped to vinyl somehow or other cut through the sleeve, and we got a complaint. I was like, I couldn't have packed it any better. There's no way it's possible to pack it any better. But that piece of vinyl in between bits of paper and cardboard, it's a bloody sore. So from that point of view, I'm not excited about it. Obviously, for a long time, that's how records were made, and we got really good at making them that way. And when we first started making CDs, we were shit at it, but we got really good at making CDs at the end as well. I would stand any of my CDs next to any of my vinyl these days because we master them with both in mind. We don't try and take the same curve that we apply to vinyl and apply it to CDs. It's different. So I was heartbroken when CDs took over from vinyl, and I was almost as heartbroken again when CDs went out of fashion, because we finally were making them well. We made them with these beautiful little cardboard packets where they were just mini albums, really. There was no plastic, no horrible jewel cases or anything.
No.
And like I said, we were able to make them sound, to my ear, I can't hear one sounding better than the other.
Right. Fantastic. That's ticked all the nerd boxes here, Lloyd. Thanks very much.
I will tell you just one thing. I don't think you'll know who we're talking about, but I did go to a friend's house one time, and he had a stereo that was more expensive than any car I'd ever bought. And it was, vinyl this, vinyl that, Macintosh this, Macintosh that. I couldn't bring myself to tell him. It sounded fucking terrible.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm one of those vinyl collectors. I just like having records, and my turntable's worth, I don't know, $400. My amplifier and speakers is a few $100s. Like, I just like the fact that, I can put on a record. I don't get all precious about it, and it doesn't have to be, any sort of ridiculous amount of, money spent on. I'd rather spend the money on the records, than the actual turntable itself.
You're listening to The Mixtape.
The Mixtape is brought to you in association with Giglist. Giglist is your one-stop shop for all your live events. If you're looking to get out and experience some live music, you can filter by artist, venue, suburb or date. If you are an artist, it will take you less than a minute to list your gig for free on the website. The Mixtape brought to you in association with Giglist. Gigs in a list.
All right, Lloyd, let's move into your mixtape track choices then, mate. So as you know, my show's called The Mixtape, and when I get guests like yourself on, as a way of exploring their influences and inspirations, I ask you to make up an imaginary mixtape and pick some songs for it. Track one of your mixtape, Lloyd, is an attention grabber. What would be your track one attention grabber for your mixtape?
Well, I've chosen Telegram Sound by T-Rex, which is, in my opinion, the absolute acme of rock and roll recording. I don't think there's a better sounding rock song ever made.
No, it's a great choice. T-Rex comes up a lot in that category.
It was pretty much Tony Visconti knew what he was doing. An amazing sounding, brilliant song.
Of course, yeah. Fantastic choice to kick it off with, mate. And track two, Lloyd, is what's a song you sing if you're singing in the car or the shower? What would you like to go to there, mate?
Somebody asked me this years ago, and off the cuff, I just said I don't sing unless I'm getting paid, which is actually true. I don't sing in the shower. I don't sing in the car. But if I did sing in the shower, I would sing Believe by Cher.
It's a great one. Great choice. Love that one. Superb. Brilliant choice. And track three, Lloyd, what is, give us your favourite cover version.
Right, well, you're not going to know this one unless, well, you never know. There's a band from Sweden called Bob Hund. They're from the southern part of Sweden near Malmo. Apparently, people in Stockholm can't even understand what they're talking about. And they did a cover version of a Plastic Bertrand song, which I think is called This Little Planet or something like that. Their version's called Den Lilla Planeten, and it's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to hearing it.
That'll be great. I love, this is like one of the joys I get out of doing this show is the amount of new stuff that I get introduced to, which is, as you know, the intention of a mixtape is to introduce people to new music. So the amount of new stuff that I've been introduced to and my listeners have been introduced to by the format of the show is so good. What makes a good cover version for you, Lloyd?
Well, it's got to be different to the original, and it's got to be magnificent. So, I mean, obviously, in those lists all along the Watchtower usually comes top of the list because
that's the most chosen song in that category.
Yeah, of course. Hendrix made it his own. Yeah, I think you've got to make the song your own. I mean, I don't do cover versions myself on stage unless I feel like I can bring something to it. I don't want to be just trying to sound like David Bowie.
No, absolutely, for sure. And track 4 of your mixtape, Lloyd, is what is a song you wish you could play to your 18-year-old self?
Well, I'm not doing this one because I don't like the idea. And I'm going to expand on it saying I think Ooh La La is one of the worst lyrics of all time.
The Faces for Stewart.
I knew what I know now when I was younger. Yeah. The whole point of being younger is that you don't know. The whole point of being younger is, so I was just got thinking about it and I thought, well, if I'd known that not every Steely Dan song was shit, the Commotions would have sounded very different because I hated Steely Dan. I had no idea that they had a couple of good songs or actually quite a lot because the only ones I ever heard were the ones I hated. And if I didn't hate Steely Dan, I might have let Blair, the keyboard player, play 5-note chords, but I had a rule. 3 fingers only on the right hand. If I'd have known what I know now about Steely Dan, we might have been a pretty awful band. We certainly wouldn't have been the band that we were. So, yeah, I don't like that idea. I like the idea that we're young and stupid.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That conversation's happened a few times with that, where like people have come of it as sort of like lyrical life advice, and then gone. But I'm 18. I wouldn't listen to myself. Do you know what I mean? What do you know at that age? Like you wouldn't take that on board. So what's the point? Yeah, absolutely. I get you. What's your favourite Steely Dan song, Lloyd?
Probably the title song of Gaucho.
Okay. Yeah, I found that album in a charity shop about a week ago. Yeah,
but I'm an outlier with Steely Dan. I know. I like the first 2 albums and the last 2 albums, and I don't like the middle ones at all.
Good tie into the last episode of the mixtape because last week's guest was Lorraine from Deacon Blue. So yeah, fantastic. Good tying. Yeah. And track 5 of your mixtape, Lloyd, if you were making up a mixtape for a romantic interest, you were trying to woo someone, let them know you're interested, what would be a track you would put on for that?
Willie Nelson's version of Help Me Make It Through the Night.
What a great choice. Have you ever...
The whole album of Willie Nelson plays Christopherson, the whole album's brilliant. Please Don't Tell Me How the Story Ends. The version of Please Don't Tell Me How the Story Ends is so good. I used to do a version of that song based on Willie Nelson's version.
Cover of a cover, yeah.
Hopefully trying to still sound like me, but yeah, my version was based on Willie's version.
Yeah, fantastic, great choice. Mate. Willie Nelson comes up a lot on the mixtape there. It's a great choice. And finally, Lloyd, track 6, I asked you to pick a deep cut or an album track or something that, you feel is a little bit underappreciated.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is underappreciated, but I actually picked Third World Man from the last Steely Dan record. I don't consider those reformed albums, I don't consider them to be Steely Dan albums. But yeah, Third World Man from Gaucho. I think it's a brilliant song.
Yeah, no, great choice, mate. Because like I said, I found that album in a charity shop about a couple of weeks ago, just up the road from me. I couldn't believe it. Just passing through, and I thought I'll have a quick flick through it because it's normally, just your Common and Garden, Harry Seacombe, Des O'Connor type sort of records, and boom, there it was. I was like, oh, excellent, nice result. What a result, yeah, great one. All right, we'll just finish off the interview with the quick fire 5 question, Lloyd. So the quick fire 5 questions, same questions I asked to everybody. First one, do you have a pre-show ritual?
Yeah, my whole day is a ritual to get the best show done. So, but I thought you might be looking for something weird, and I suppose the only weird thing I do is I like to have a coin in my pocket when I'm on stage, even though I've got no use for it.
Okay. That's excellent. I love little nuggets like that.
Like in the pocket that I have my plectra, I've got a coin as well.
Great one. Love that. That's brilliant. I love little insights like that. They're fantastic. I wasn't specifically looking for anything weird there, but I did used to have a question in the quick fire five was what's the weirdest thing in your tour rider? But I was looking for weirdness there, but yeah, that's all good.
I've got a bar of soap on my rider now because I hate liquid soap in hotels so much.
Great one. I love that. I really love design these questions to get little nuggets like that you would never get in normal interviews. That's fantastic. Who would play you in a movie about your life, Lloyd?
Well, there will be no movie, but I was looking around and decided that Hayden Christensen's eyes look a bit like mine when I was younger. Best I can do, I'm afraid.
I always have a little think about it myself, and I thought David Morrissey would be good to play you. I don't know if you know him, but he looks a little bit like you as well. He's a fantastic British actor.
What is he in a crime show?
Yeah, he's been in loads. He's been in The Walking Dead.
I think I know the guy you're talking about. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, all right.
He was in that really dodgy remake of Basic Instinct with Sharon Stone as well a good few years back. Yeah, he's a fantastic British actor. Yeah, he was just one that popped into my head. I thought he looks a bit like he'd be good at that. Who would be your dream collaborator, Lloyd, live or dead?
Robin.
Robin, as in Dancing on My Own, Robin, the Swedish.
Yeah.
Oh, great one. Yeah, awesome, fantastic choice. And what's your favourite city to play live?
Well, obviously it's wherever you live. So Fremantle, of course. No,
Fremantle on Perth. Yeah, great choice.
Probably being on stage. Being on stage is different from the whole day. Like probably the best city is also the worst city because the worst city to get to the gig, to get into the city, to get out the city is Paris. But it's probably also the best concerts, the best audience that I know.
No, great one. Yeah, I was in Paris myself this time last year, and yeah, you're right. It was an absolute nightmare getting around the place. And finally, if you could time travel to see one concert in history, which show would you choose?
This was a fun question to think about because for a minute I thought maybe Prince when they were filming Purple Rain, but I saw him not long after that anyway. So I'm thinking when Stax Records went on tour to Europe and Booker T and the MGs were Otis Redding's band, that would have been amazing.
Would have been a fantastic show for sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll just round out the last couple of minutes interview, Lloyd. Future plans once you get the Australian tour out the way, sort of early part of next year. What's in the sort of in the calendar for you, mate?
December, January, most of February off. So I'm working up here trying to get started on a new record, and I suppose in between doing tour, I'm thinking we're going to be touring in Europe in the summer, but in between I'm going to try and get a record done.
Excellent. Fantastic.
That's pretty much enough to keep me busy between touring and making records.
Lloyd, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you for the show, mate. As I said at the top, it is destroyallines.com for tickets to the Lloyd Cole solo tour of Australia, 17th of March, kicking off in Melbourne, hitting all the usual suspects, Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Brisbane, also Hobart this time as well. I saw not many people go to Hobart. Are you looking forward to that? Have you been there before?
You know why I'm going there, don't you?
No, I don't. No, go on.
7 Mile Beach, new golf course. I have friends in Hobart as well, but yeah, I'm gonna meet some friends from Melbourne. We're gonna play 7 Mile Beach. But I played Hobart last time. If not last time, the time before. I've been at this venue before. It's cool.
Fantastic. I don't know, they're really sort of super appreciative audiences down there in Tas in Hobart because not that many people tour there, and they miss out on more than Perth does when tours come to Australia. So yeah, fair play to you for that. Lloyd, safe travels, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting. Really looking forward to seeing you at Astor Theatre in Perth on Friday the 27th of March. Take care, mate, and I'll see you soon.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Lloyd. Cheers, mate. Pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to the Mixtape Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to go to the top of the page and rate it 5 stars, or give us a like or follow on social media at the Mixtape Podcast and Radio Show. Don't forget, there's over 100 archive episodes just waiting to be discovered. And all you need to do is visit themixtapepodcast.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.